Welcome to the PTA Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, John Caligiuri. Accompanied by my co-host, Nick Kelly. Nick, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
I think with all the news and the media with the ILA and the unions and the labor strike at the ports, me and Nick come at it at two different points of view. I
Yep.
think this might be a spicy episode. As we do, one of my favorite things about Nick is that I would both classify us as conservative cats, but I stand with the worker. I stand with the small business. I am pro union.
Don't give me
Nick is
that
not.
bullshit. No,
That's
no,
what
no,
I'm
no, no,
saying.
no, no, no.
Nick is not a
No,
union cat, and you know what?
unions.
That's what I love about him.
No, 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 no. You need to be quiet because you're just wrong.
Tell me how I'm wrong, Nicholas. Tell
When
me
it
how
comes
I'm
to
wrong.
supporting the workers, how about giving them the choice to join a union or not join a union? How about you go to a state that's not free to work, like it is in Texas? Maybe go to Minnesota and try to get a job, and they force you to pay their union fees. And the union fees that you're paying, guess who's that's going? Into Kamala Harris's pocket. So you can't be someone who supports unions and then also say that you're some conservative.
All I'm saying is that the
None of
short
that money
work.
will ever go into any conservative's pocket. You're just funding liberal ideology through unions, and then what else? You're making everything more expensive. These ports guys, guess how much they're making? About $81,000 to $100,000 a year,
That's
and they
wrong.
want more.
Yo, shout out Vinny Cancino.
They're
Shout out Vinny
they're
Cancino,
they're
who works at the port.
advocating.
Vinny Cancino works at the ports, and he's actually the guy who went on strike. So don't listen to that Fox News BS. You saw
Oh,
my story when they posted Vince on Fox News saying they're wrong. No, what the real thing is,
oh
the
no, 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 no,
company.
no. They
No, no,
want
no.
to
Let me give
keep
you the real facts.
the
Let me give you the real
thing guy.
facts. Let me give you the real
Do you
facts,
know
Nick.
what they're
The
demanding?
company's
They're
making $5
demanding.
billion.
They're demanding. They're
No,
demanding to take out automated door openers and replacing that with a guy, so then he would.
that's
So
wrong.
then he would keep his job. No,
No, that's
that's
wrong.
literally in their demands for
Nick,
them to
no,
take
no, Nick.
out
Let me get. If you
automated doors
give me a
and
minute and a
put
half.
that person in there.
Give me
All right.
45. Give me like a minute and a half. What the reason why they striked was legitimately from COVID. The company made $5 billion of profit, not of like gross, of like pure no crap profit. What they wanted was a revenue share of $300 million and no automation because the
Fascist ideology out of here.
Nick legitimately. So
Revenue
someone
share.
made they made the company profited $5 billion, and out of that
Yeah,
five
it's called
billion
a business.
dollars of profit, they wanted 300 million. They wanted over 6 years. They wanted it $12. They wanted a $2 an hour raise over 6 years, and then Newport Beach, California, they automated everything and they fired all the longshoremen, and they said, we do not want to fire we don't want to replace all the people with robots. So we are going to strike. They wanted $2 an hour extra and not be replaced with robots after the company made $5 billion. So what did the company do? They went to Fox News and all the big news media, and they made it sound like these guys are the worst. Yes, some people make $300,000 a year, but Vince has been
I said you're
our boy has been there for 4 years, and you know how much he makes an hour? $23
What
an
does he
hour.
do? What
He
does he do?
works 80 feet up in the air and moves the Connex boxes from the ship and off. People die all the time. A guy died like 2 months ago because the machine caught on fire and he couldn't get out. And he literally just burned to death. So it's not like, oh, it's not like some easy job. People die they probably have like probably one or two people die every quarter. So it's and for
No, no.
$23 an hour. And like, yes, they get good health insurance. Yes, they get all that stuff. But like, I will die with the ILA. You know what I'm saying? It's God. My allegiance are to God, the core, and to the freaking ILA. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if someone made like Nick, if you made $5 billion and you didn't move a single box, and I was moving all the boxes, I'm like, yo, give me 300 million. Just give me $2 an hour extra over 6 years is what they were asking for, and not replace me with a robot. I think that's a pretty fair negotiating point. It's not like they're saying, give me half or we want 75%. They just wanted $2 extra an hour and not to be replaced with a robot.
Okay,
I think that's pretty
so if
fair.
you're sure, 100%, 100% fair. But when it comes to stalling the imports and exports of American goods, absolutely not. We need a president like Teddy Roosevelt to go in there when um, when he was president. It was the same thing, but with coal, and he sent the U.S. Army down there take control of the coals, so Americans still had energy. We need a president to
Yeah.
do something like that with these guys. I'm all for people
Yes.
to
We're
advocate
actually
for a
trying to do
higher
that.
wage. On a higher wage, I'm all for someone to advocate for a higher wage. If you don't think that you're getting paid fairly, go find a job somewhere else. The free market is open for you. The free market is absolutely open for you.
Nick, you can tell someone who's 55 years old, who's been there for 20 years, and his only skill is being a longshoreman, go find something else and like legitimately, because people have been there since they were 17. People who started working there since they were 17. So that guy's been there. He's say
There
some
is
guys
nothing more risky than a 9 to 5 W-2 job. If you want to take that incredibly high risk opportunity and you did that for your whole life, and now that you want to advocate for a higher wage, go for it. But you're not going to halt all of American imports and exports because you want $2 extra above
not
market
being replaced with a
value
rope.
for your work. You're advocating for something higher than your own than what your labor is worth. I'm sorry,
I think their labor
but
is
you have to be
undervalued.
straight up with these people. You have to be straight up.
I
I'm
personally believe their labor is undervalued.
as
I
a
think they
real
should be
estate
paid
agent,
more.
I'm not going to go over and be like, "Hey, my labor is worth 4% of home value, not 3% of your home value. And if you
You guys
don't
were
pay
charging.
me,
You guys were
I'm
charging
gonna get
5.
all the
You guys
other
had a whole
unions.
case. You guys were charging 5.
I charge 3. My market is 3, and then I'm not gonna go rally up all the other realtors in all of Houston and be like, "We're not gonna work unless you pay us 4 or 5%." No, absolutely not. I'm gonna see what the market value is of my services, and then I'm gonna charge that market value. And if it goes up and down, I'm gonna adjust and I'm gonna adapt to my situation. That's how you measure intelligence, adapt to your own situation. That's what unions are against is basic intelligence. They're
Like I
going
said, I don't think union is for every situation, but I think this is where our main difference
unions
point
for
is.
zero situation, almost zero, especially in states that
Uh,
that do not have freedom to work. The anti-freedom to work states, like a lot of these ports and where protests start, like Minnesota, with the VP debate, Tim Walz was demonizing freedom to work states because he's obviously a big union guy and he likes to take control of labor, a centralized government controlling labor, exactly what fascism is. Fascism comes and grows from labor unions, and these are exactly what these people are advocating for, and they're funding the DNC and anti-work. Unions are not this ideology that somehow unions are somehow the working man is completely idiotic. It's
See,
absolutely idiotic.
that's where
Free
I agree.
market value for your labor. That's it.
Yeah,
If you're
but
only
Nick,
worth, let's go to Henry Ford, right?
finish your point. Nick, finish
He
your point 'cause I have a
needed
rebuttal.
workers. Okay, he needed workers, right? What did
Yes.
he do? He upped the market value for making cars. $5 a day was huge back then. And he got workers. If if ports needed workers, guess what they would do? Advocate for more money. They would offer
This
people
is
more
where they
money,
do it, and
more
you're anti
benefits.
that. They're asking
No,
for
no, 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 I'm not. I'm for free market wage, which is what unions advocate against.
so I think our disagreement comes from the reason why unions existed was the free market shat on the little guy. Like like back when America was getting industrialized, they got all
Maybe,
the
maybe
Nick,
if
I let you
freedom to
talk.
work.
Nick, let me give you my little soliloquy. I let you run with yours. Um, if you look at the history of the Union, it was started because like all the Irish immigrants, all the immigrants coming from Europe, they came here, and when we were getting industrialized, they basically treated them like slaves. The working conditions were horrible, and everything. People getting sick, and they didn't really care. They still kind of do this, especially with all the major corporations and the chemicals. RFK talked about it, where they just dump stuff in the Hudson River. Where I'm a fan of pro-union is if it's like you can't have all one way, all the other. Like if one person has all the power, they're going to abuse the power. That's just how human nature works. So
I'm
I
all
don't
for
think there should be
antitrust law.
I don't think there should be a teachers union. I think because obviously we can see that failed. But in certain
Just like all
situations
the
of like major cities and stuff like that, because like look at China's real estate, for example, of buildings fall down because they don't enforce coding standards. They don't have standards. Like the one thing that is
has nothing
good
to do with
about
unions.
yes, it does because they enforce standards. When
The
stuff needs to get
International
done,
Building Code Association enforces standards.
yes, when stuff needs to get done, like when major cities, like the ports, like when major things need to get done for the good of society. So, like you were saying before, like these longshoremen could shut down the economy. They need stuff to come in.
Supply and demand does that.
I kind of want a body of people who have standards. You like it's a whole like to get into become a longshoreman is not just an easy process. You have to do background checks. You got to do physical fitness stuff. You got to do an interview. It's like a 6 month to a year process to become a longshoreman because there's standards that need to be held because you have the
Yeah.
fate of the United States economy in the back. So like I kind of like having an organized body of people who have standards and regulations that they will be enforced. Can you say yes when people join the union? Does work get more expensive and shit goes downhill? Yeah,
Quality lowers. Yeah.
yes, but like also too, when you're talking about like a contractor, not every contractor is squared away. You know what I'm saying? Not every free market contractor is squared away. Hence, there's no gutters on the roofs in Texas. You know what I'm saying? People don't put gutters on houses in Texas. That still blows my mind. So like I don't think a union is the answer in every situation, but like when it comes to transportation, dude, there's been basically unions like it used to be run by the mob, the ports. That was a
But
form
it's
of a
still
union,
run
like
by the
a single government body ran it. Like there's certain industries where there's a lot of money and power. A central body is going to take control over it. That's just how civilization works,
no.
and I'd much
Yeah,
rather have
because
a
of
union do it.
unions.
No,
No, the free market must always win. Otherwise, you get
like,
price
like
increases.
there's no dude, Nick, you know, like, dude, you're 27 years old. You live long enough. You know what I'm saying? Not everything is black and white. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's gray in all situations.
I'm
So
all for unions in states that are freedom to work states that don't force you to join the unions. And if people want to protest and organize and want demand higher wages, and they want to call the unions to protest on that, go for it. But when you have the problem is in these states that don't have freedom to work states, that people like you or Tim Walz demonize freedom to work states
I don't demonize
and
anyone.
demand that all states,
Don't say I'm
all
demonizing fools
states,
out here. I
and
stand with the ILA.
exactly my point is exactly, and force people to join the unions, and then they control that industry. And then if they deem that they want to get paid more outside of what the free market is demanding, and they hold up the whole United States imports and exports because of it, because they want to get paid $2 extra, you said,
And no
above
automation.
market value of their
No
labor.
automation. They don't want to replace
Screw
with a robot.
you. Screw you.
You don't want you
Oh,
say
oh
screw that because you don't want to get replaced with a robot? That's their main
get a
reason.
different job.
Nick, come on. Are you really saying if all these
I'm
corporations want to be greedy, if you want to be greedy and replace a human being with a robot just because just so you even though you've never moved a box in your life as a some CEO or C-suite executive, you never moved a box in your life and you want to replace a human being with a family with a robot just because your stock price goes
If
up,
your
yeah,
job is
go
opening
fuck yourself.
a
I have no
door,
respect. I'll spin
if your
that person.
job is opening up a door, yes, a robot should replace you if your job is opening up a door.
Yes, I'm not talking about
Sorry.
that. Nick. I'm talking about being a
Sorry.
longshoreman. They're trying to
That's
see,
literally
like,
in the
you know,
demand. It's literally in the demand to take out automated door openers so someone can have a job there opening up the
you're
door.
really talking
That's
about the
literally
robots.
in the demand.
Oh, you're taking one demand and running with it. I got keep on ranting, Nick. I got to log into something real quick.
That's literally their demand. You. The free market will always dictate what your value of your labor is.
But Nick, be real with me right now. Do you really think we live in a free market society? I don't believe so whatsoever.
Because of the Democrats that the unions are funding.
No, it's not. You can't just.
You are supporting funding these people.
No,
they
dude,
make
it's
them
not just because of the
necessary. They
Democrats.
make
It's
them
not just because of
necessary.
the Democrats.
They pass
Come on, Nick.
laws, they create legislation to make them necessary so they can control the power of supply.
No, Nick, it's not just purely the Democrats. It's all these corporate. It's globalization. It's the corporations.
Vast majority of it is this. Vast majority.
No, that is not correct. One second, I gotta log
Vast
in.
majority. That is 100% correct.
No, all the consolidation that's been going on since 1980s and globalization, and then they deindustrialized America. Now it puts the worker at even more of a disadvantage. That's why they're taking more control. They're consolidating power because all these private equity firms and all these things,
through labor unions.
the labor unions weren't spearheading that. That's private equity spearheading
they
that.
literally are right now. There's many factors other than just one, and labor unions are exactly one of those. Exactly one of those.
I
disband the. Okay, so we're talking about problems. Let's talk about solutions. The solutions are right now. This is legislation on the federal level to ban states from forcing people to join a union if they want to work. Businesses cannot force someone to join a union to be able to work for them. That needs to happen immediately. Then all this will go away. Disband federal unions, public unions, disband all that. The police union, disband. Teachers union, disband. These people work for the American people, and stop forcing people to join unions. Then all of this will be solved. All of this will be solved.
I don't think you should have to join a union and do that. Okay, I agree with that, but I don't think
then the pro-union people will say that you're anti-union and you're not for the working person. That's exactly what they say. If you say that exact to maybe Tim Walz,
but you're not talking. You're
not a union. You do not support unions. Unions will fall. A lot of these big unions will immediately fall and will not exist if that happens. And they'll say you are anti-work.
People, there's power, there's strength in numbers. Like, think about it. Most people,
yes, and those numbers will drop dramatically. Those numbers will drop, and they will lose power. They will lose power immediately.
And they will lose power. But I just don't.
Because exactly what's happening in the ports, they're obligated to protest.
Yes.
Unions call to protest. And if they weren't being forced to join unions to be able to work for those businesses, they would quit the unions and probably go back to work. Most of them would.
Nick, my best friend is one of the people striking. They want they raise. They're pissed off that they. Let me say that. That's a percentage point. That's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying people won't
$5 billion they made, and they want to replace. Think about it. Listen, I'm saying this out loud to you, Nick. What the corporation wants to do is to replace them with a robot. Yes, the door is a fuck is
they can't do all the jobs. They can't.
But they want. That's what they're doing in California. They replaced all the longshoremen with robots. Yes, you can do this bullshit thing with the automatic door, but their plan is to replace all the longshoremen with robots, and they do not want that to happen. They want to get a percentage of the profit because in COVID, guess what the corporations did? They made him work 100 hours a week, and they made it dumb for them. They made him they do all this dumb stuff, and then they gave him no raise or
For
nothing, no
safety, you're
bonus.
talking about OSHA regulations. And you pawned and an earlier comment you made, and I think you were trying to say that unions solve the problem of dumping stuff in the oceans,
No,
which that was
no,
the
no.
EPA. That was the EPA that did that.
Unions do
But
not
okay,
solve that problem. I was making a point
okay,
of that
okay.
corporations will act and do bad things for society. And if someone is that powerful that they're literally going to say, I have all these chemicals, what I'm going to do with it, dump it into the water. All these corporations, do I want someone fighting against these major corporations to make sure
That's
you replace them with robots?
that's
Yes, I'm
EPA.
on that. I will be on that team. If it happens to be a union, so freaking be it. But these people, just because these people just want to have a percentage point for a stock, and they made $5 billion and did no work and made them do all this dumb shit. Yeah, I'm gonna fucking fight against those people. I do not stand with those people. I'll never stand with those people. That's what I'm saying. Like, they will always act for their own self-interest and screw over society. So yes, if you have one guy who has
And
all
that's
the
pretty much
power,
they're looking over for their best interest and their stockholders. You can, these companies publicly traded.
yes, I did. I did a put options
Then
trade on them.
and guess what? They will look out for your best interest. The stockholders, they have a
Don't tell me stock is my best
huge
interest. Do not tell me
responsibility to
stock
look
is
out
my best
for their
interest.
stockholders.
Do not tell me a stock is in my best interest. They don't care. Don't
I
look
didn't
me in
say
the eye. Do not tell me that go buy
okay.
a stock
Now
and then
we're
we're on
going
the
to
team.
completely different. Okay, then that's a completely different conversation about
Yes.
how the Democratic Party, which you were funding with your unions, are trying to
The ILA does
look out
not.
for
The ILA
the
supported
greater
Trump.
good.
The ILA supported Trump.
The
The
greater
ILA
good
stands
other
with
than
Trump. So don't say Kamala Harris. The ILA stands with Trump. I stand with God, the core, and the ILA. Because
that's
they
that.
stand with Trump too.
Okay. Uh,
Like,
okay.
you can't just say
I mean,
the free market, because we don't live in a free market society. We never have. There's always going to be
Trump is
people.
wrong on the union. Trump, Trump is
Trump's
wrong
not
with
perfect. Trump's a
supporting
human being.
unions.
He's not perfect. I don't agree with everything he has to say. But Nick, what I'm saying at is, like, you can't just be like they're all good or all bad. There's good things and bad things with everything, especially when you're dealing
All
with
unions
support.
in states that force you to join the union, all companies that are part of a union are bad.
I disagree.
Unions in states that are free to work, states that have unions, good. States that force you to join a union, bad.
I'm looking at it more. Who
Oh,
would you rather control the ports? The criminal underground, aka the mafia, or a union? I'd much rather have the union.
it's the same. It's the same thing. The free market.
Yes, but there's more opportunity to get in. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if there's going to be major flows of human beings, like the concrete industry in New York City, like building all those
Yeah.
skyscrapers. Like, when there's that much money at stake, people going to clamor for that power and shun people and stiff arm people. Like I said, I'd much rather there be a body of human beings doing it than just the criminal underground doing it. And that's where I come at
The
with unions.
unions are
I
one of
think
the
there should be.
criminal
I think there's.
underground.
Well, that's just racist, Nick. That's just purely racist.
The union in the Congress.
That's just
pretty sure
that's because one Ginzo back in the day ran a couple unions. You want to say every union guy is a criminal? As look at it, Mr. Free Market over
wasn't that one
here.
of the big ones?
Bad Wi-Fi.
Wasn't that one of the big ones?
The
No,
concrete.
yeah. Was it one of the big like mafia ones?
Teamsters,
Was the
the
concrete?
Teamsters was the mob just owned the concrete in New York City. They had the Teamsters. Like, yes, the history of unions, there was a little bit of if you go deep down in the history of the unions, there was a little bit of criminal element in it. But this is America. There's always
I
a
mean,
little
still is.
criminal element of it.
But they
There's
just
always
yeah.
a bit of criminal element in all things that we do.
Well, I mean,
America.
that's kind of what happens in fascism. So
But Nick, you're coming at it. You really think, like, be real with me. Do you really think America's a free market economy?
it should be. That's what I'm advocating for. With
Yes, but okay, yes or no?
yes, overall, yes,
I
and I'm
wholeheartedly,
advocating to make it more free,
I,
as in
I
making freedom to work states and demonizing these states that force people to join unions.
I
And,
wholeheartedly
and
disagree with you. I do not think we have a free market economy whatsoever. I think through globalization
I think you
and
made that argument.
consolidation, I think like from globalization and consolidation that we're becoming more and more of an oligarchy and more into a, I don't even know what, like a more like China, where it's like run, instead of run by the state, it's run by a certain sector of private interests that really
AKA
hurt
unions.
a little. I don't. Yes, we can say a union
It's
is a part of
unions,
that.
but just
I'm
different
saying the
wordage.
corporations. I would say corporations. I put more of the blame on the corporations and the banking system. Dude, back
Unions.
in the day, there used to be over 150 banks. Now there's about 56. They're forecasting there's
If
gonna
you
be
want to talk
30.
about this, I mean, we need someone like Andrew Jackson to come in and kick down the Fed like he did to the Second Bank of America.
Yeah, like I said, I like, or Theodore Roosevelt, who, because we've been in this situation before, and Teddy Roosevelt
Yep, and he sent
broke
the
up all the
army
major
in
corporations.
to take control of coal and give the American people power because the
Nick,
unions were
they
protesting.
strike for 36 hours. They struck for literally 36 hours, and they gave him. And you talk about it. They asked for $2. They gave him $1 a year pay raise. They got what they just need to not have automation. And I think that's a good way to wrap it up because we're just gonna talk in circles. Um, please go to ptapod.com, ptapod.com, like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Nick, you have any other? You have last say. You have the last. You can have the last word.
No, no, no. I think this was good. It's either you are for forcing people to join unions or you're not.
That is the final word. God bless, and please have a good rest of your day.